industry.
I'll write
And
that down.
he's very instrumental. So Michael Strickland is the man, and he happens to be the founder of Bandit Lites.
Cool. I wrote it down. I will look into it.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we got a kind of full.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
There's Chris Carlton.
How are you?
Hey, Chris.
Howdy.
So has it gotten cooler in Miami yet?
No. No, I think the like field temperature is like 109 or something.
Well, I'm not about to pay an application fee if there's a chance I wouldn't proceed with the loan based on the fact that I can't get the rate. So unless I don't pay the application fee until halfway through the loan process, then we can end the conversation.
There you go. That's better. Yeah, definitely don't want to pay the application fee if you're not going to get the loan, right?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. That's for sure. Absolutely
not.
I like how you muted him just as he said, end the conversation.
I think it was him doing the muting.
The guy.
Jen, you got good audio this week?
Yeah, this week, what happened last week was amazing. How everybody just grabbed on and it really happened. And it happened.
I think Mr. Newman over there really drove the boat real well on that one.
It just goes to show that I am really not needed, and that's what I like.
Well, I wanted to keep the conversation going. I was just being selfish, because I just wanted to hear what Jack had to say.
Without me.
Hey, there's Jason. Hey, Jason. Boy, nice job on the Delicate building last night. That looked amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a little bit of effort, but yeah, it was great. It was a good turnout for everybody, I think.
Good to see you, Jason. But when we run the crawl of the We Make events, it will. I stole a few of them from Twitter.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I mean, we ended up giving lights to a bunch of venues and other vendors, so it was a good thing. So
good for you. Score one for Delicate.
Yeah,
exactly. We want to get people, average people to say things to their government representatives. Because if we can get everybody talking about this, then maybe we'll get some results.
Yeah, I got some feedback from a couple of from Feinstein's office, because I've been in contact with two people on her team. They were very aware of it. The couple of Republican senators that we've been going after have they were part of our tag as well. The ones who are not participating in it. So I think that was a good push as well.
All good stuff, right? Where are you driving, Jason? You on the freeway?
No, dude, I'm trying to. I got to get gas, and then I'm trying to get back to my house. So.
Okay, good.
You remember where it is?
We're up. I'm guessing you were up late last night.
Yeah, I was up pretty late last night. So I got home about 1:30. So.
Yeah, definitely different than the last few months. Well, especially compared to the last few months, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's one thing to normally be on an event and stay up late, but man, I've been going to bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock with the kids.
That's so great.
Time.
Well, that's sharing with the world. I appreciate that. That's very, very cool.
Jason's the man. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of Delicate Productions. Hey, there's Ryan Trefethen.
We're having a lot of fun.
Hey, Ryan made it. Hi, Ryan.
Oh, Ryan, I haven't seen you in decades.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Still don't see you. All right, you're loud.
Hey, Ryan. It's been a while.
Turn down. Got it.
Yeah, put it on automatic level. Automatically adjust microphone volume or something. Something. Can definitely hear you chewing.
So Ken, is that a Tascam cassette recorder in your rack right there to your right?
It's a TIAC actually.
The TIAC, yeah.
I
thought I recognized those.
I didn't think that was in the picture.
The big knobs and the big meters.
Yeah, that's definitely a TIAC. What's it called? The C3RX, and has built-in DBX.
Oh wow. Yep.
Well, Is everybody able to see the slideshow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're alive. I think we're getting ready to start. What time is it? 3:07. I think it's time. What do you think, Kenny?
I think we've got 20 people here. That's kind of average. So we could go if you want.
Why not? Why not? I think we could do that. Everybody, hey, welcome to the Soundbroker Mastermind Roundtable. It's an industry group of business leaders and movers and shakers. We're all here to talk about how we could survive these tough times so that when things get better, we'll all still be here. My name is Jan Landy, and this is not the Jan Landy Show. So please feel free to chime in, chip in, and be part of the mastermind group. Because the more people we have involved, the more minds we put together, the stronger and more powerful we will all be. And today we're really all celebrating what happened yesterday. Yesterday was a pretty amazing day for our industry, where we turned the country red. And if you're seeing what's going on right now in the screen, you'll see that a lot of venues lit up and turned red, and everybody did a really good job. And I was very impressed. Did anybody happen to catch the YouTube stream? Did anybody out there catch the YouTube stream?
Saw it for a minute or two.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Now that's you see, even people who couldn't go out there and perform and make big buildings, some people just turned their house red, which was very, very impressive. And I thought that was really an amazing thing to do. And, I'm really proud to be part of this industry. That's for sure, so I want to thank everybody who did anything for it. And I'd like to go around the room and see, well, first of all, before we do that, Brad Nelms is in the room, and he was really very instrumental in putting this together, as he was the National Director of North America. So I'd like to give him a round of applause for We Make Events. Brad Nelms, you did a great job. So thank you. Tell us about it.
Thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. I cannot take much credit. It was a big team. And I think, we talked about it last week on the call a little bit, how quickly the thing grew. So just to get some stats out there to talk about the size and the scale of what it was. So our pseudo official count is that we had 2,088 structures lit up all across North America, including Trinidad, Tobago, and Canada, and mostly US. So 2088 was the number that we know about. But there were a ton of venues and places that came online after that had told us no, and then decided to jump in when they saw how successful it was. And there are also a ton that we just had no idea about. So we think it might be 3,500, but it's a lot. It's certainly over 2,500, and it was a ton of stuff, hugely successful. The point in the event, of course, was to raise awareness and to do some specific things. So some numbers that I'll just throw out on our website. Since its inception, which is about 2 weeks ago, we've had a total of 60,000 visitors. 45,000 of those were yesterday.
Wow.
And we've had, since the beginning of it yesterday, we've had an average of about 300 active users simultaneously at any given time. And we have written almost 10,000 letters now on our site. And we've also seen traffic on partner sites go up that are writing letters, like on IATSE and extendpoa.org and LEC and other places as well, NAMM. So it's really, really moving the needle there, which is great. The huge numbers, which I think are just mind-blowing. So our social media stats, we had so much happen that we actually got locked out of Instagram. So on Twitter, we had 19,145 impressions, meaning that somebody saw it and internalized it in some form or another. Instagram, in the last 7 days, most of which was from yesterday, we've had 329,407 impressions, 24.3 thousand accounts reached since September 1st, or as of September 1st. 6,100. Yeah.
1 second. Did you shut off your camera by any chance?
Oh, well, I'm reading off my phone.
Oh, okay. Very good. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. So 24.3 accounts reached, 6,192 followers, 20,834 likes on photos. And then Facebook is the really staggering one. So we've had on Facebook 25,319 page views, 4,913 likes, 834,859 reaches, meaning people that have seen things and not necessarily interacted, but have seen it and it's scrolled past it or opened it. And then 140,730 engagements, meaning people that liked, shared, or commented on something. So huge reach in that stuff, and well outside of just the industry. We had a ton of people viewing the live stream. I think our peak views on the live stream altogether was around 1,500 between Facebook and YouTube. So we had some really great results and great reach. We got a ton of media coverage as well. Every single local market had local coverage. We've got national coverage. If you go search on Google for hashtag Red Alert Restart or hashtag We Make Events, you can just find scrolls of pages of pictures or news stories that are coming out from all sorts of different media sources in and out of the industry. So we're definitely making an impact, and we now have a ton of really great content. It was an amazing night with a huge effort that involved myself and 10 other people on the national team. And then there were 58 regional directors that all had a team, and they had an army of volunteers underneath them, plus people that participated kind of on their own efforts in other places where there wasn't a regional team. So we're guessing that we had 7,000 to 10,000 people involved with this thing last night, and it was a really amazing effort. Some of the special moments that happened that were cool. The Empire State Building, for example, it was included in it. In what was lit up, but they didn't tell us that they were going to do it. We applied and we went back and forth with them for quite some time, and I even sent them a bit of a nasty gram email saying, like, you missed the morning press that just happened, and no replies back. And then the guys that were in New York City, they turned around and all of a sudden it was lit up, and then they sent us an approval at about 10:30 after it had already been on. So that was a really amazing moment for people there. Had some similar experiences for a lot of venues. In fact, Giants Stadium, the guys in San Francisco rented a helicopter to get some aerial shots. So I'm really excited to see that video. But Giants Stadium, they were broadcasting a game that they were calling from there. The game was being played elsewhere, but they were calling the game from there. And the announcers sit and watch the game on the live broadcast on the Jumbotron. And they sent a note up to them and said, we have a helicopter for this thing and we're going to run out of fuel. Can we just put our logo up for a minute and do a flyby shot and then you can go back? And they said yes. So they let us do it. And then they did a spot on the live broadcast and talked about what we were doing. So some really special and kind of amazing moments that happened last minute and sort of ad hoc like that were really wonderful. And everybody was really excited. Our next steps now, which is kind of the important part, is to take all this stuff that we've done and use that to reach congressional leadership to help move forward with our asks, which are the Restart Act, and then extend PUA and FPUC. So our current first step in the plan is we're going to take the social media stuff that we've got and we're going to point that directly at each senator. So we're going to tag them in the a highlight picture from their district and say, here, look at this. This is what we did. And engage them in that way. And then we're also going to be, all of our regional directors are going to be writing a very personal letter that's going to go out every day this week that includes content from last night's event and a story with it. And then beyond that, we're continuing the outreach through various channels and letter writing through websites and all of that kind of stuff. So we're really hoping that we can, push this over the finish line, because it's very close, and we really just need to make sure that we don't miss the traction that we've gained from everything that happened yesterday.
All right. That's amazing. That's really cool. Very, very, very cool. Anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask for Brad? Ken Newman, Michael Brown.
Yeah, Brad, I'm wondering, first of all, what your normal gig is when you're not, fighting for all of us.
Well, at the moment, my normal gig is sitting on my couch because I was part of the layoffs at the beginning of July. But my most recent position was with ACT Lighting, the distributor for Grand MA, Ayrton, Robert Juliet, Chainmaster, MDG. So I was the Western Regional Sales Manager there.
Wow, and they laid you off because they've gotten hardly any sales going on, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they still have 2 of the 4 sales guys that covered the country, but there was some growth that happened a couple of years ago, and they basically scaled back to pre-growth, unfortunately.
Wow, sorry to hear that.
Hey,
And the other
Brad?
question I have is, what about so restart is one of the main things we're pushing for. What's your personal opinion on the chances that'll actually get passed?
I think it's pretty good, and there's a bit of a marketing spin on the word "passed," right? So I would be naive to think that they're going to take restart as a standalone bill and pass that by itself, and that's not really what we're expecting to happen. But what we do want to have happen is that they take in this larger relief bill that they're working on, that is much bigger than just these 2 things. They take the language from restart and use that as the structure for the small business section of that. And we're pretty certain that that's probably what's going to happen. Michael Strickland, who you mentioned earlier, Ken, the founder of Bandit, he's very, very ingrained in those conversations and has been leading that charge for the industry since the beginning of this whole thing, and is talking directly with Congress people on both sides of the aisle, and has been just an amazing, amazing hero for all of us, essentially. But he is highly convinced, I guess I should say, or has been told by the people that he's in direct contact with, that the mass of what the bill is going to be, the primary structure, is going to be hashed out behind closed doors between basically yesterday and the 7th. And then when Congress gets back in session on the 8th, they will just be fine-tuning details. So that's why our big push is right now, and why it was so critical to have last night move forward, despite some of the challenges that you may have heard we ran up against. So, we're really pushing for that part, and to get the restart and extend PUA and FPUC in there. And I think it's going to happen at this point. They've got to put something in one way or another. And with the big voice that we've now created, I think everybody understands why it needs to be restart versus other things. But we'll see if that's true.
I want to add one thing right now. Basically, if you look in the chat, everybody, and I'll put these links onto social media as well, but there is a link that I put in. It's https://app.govpredict.com. And if you click on that link, you will go to a form that NAMM has put out, that all you have to do is put in your name, your address, and your zip code, and then click a link, and it gets a preformed letter that gets sent out to your congressman and your senators. And I did that, and within one day, I got a reply from all three of my representatives. So I can't recommend that you do that enough, and spread that link to everybody you know. It takes less than 2 minutes, and you've reached your congressman and your senators. So, Michael Brown.
Yeah, to echo what you just said, Jan, that I did that link too, and it only took me a minute, but okay. But I was amazed at how easy it was. I was amazed at how quickly it immediately knew. I mean, it was name, address, I think phone number also was required, and your zip code, and then immediately knew my congressperson, my 2 senators. The message was up. I hit send. And then it immediately also allowed me to post it to Twitter. I clicked on that link. It asked for my login. I logged in, and boom, the tweet was sent too. It was the smoothest thing I'd ever seen, because I've been to a couple of those apps where they automatically send things for you. This one was by far the best. So, and then to you, Brad, how closely are you guys working with NAMM? Because they seem to have the strongest lobbying voice of all of us. Or at least the most organized. Perhaps they've just been at it longer, right? But how closely are you working with them, particularly in getting them all that social media connectivity that you had? A lot of that would probably be new territory for NAMM and vice versa. So is there any thought underway to make sure to all those people that reacted to, whether it was to Instagram or Facebook or whatever, making sure they get the link to the NAMM page so they can also do the steps and contact their congressional delegation?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's absolutely the case. We are very well plugged in with NAMM through 2 different channels. One is that they came on as an official supporter of our event, and as a part of that, they agreed to send any communication out from us to their distribution lists. And the second of that is that Michael Strickland works very closely with them and is in constant contact with the NAMM lobbyists. who have been a powerful force in both this and also in other efforts as well, just for the industry and music in general. So it's definitely that. We have kind of identified as a group that NAMM has the heaviest weight and the most force of any lobbying type organization in the industry. So what we're pushing for is for any of the smaller groups that have kind of popped up or over the course of this pandemic to try and loop everybody into one team. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has to be under the NAMM umbrella, but we should all be pushing the same message, and we should all be, looking for that power in numbers.
That's great.
Hey, Brad? Chris Carlton. Yeah. So Michael Strickland sent me a note to send the photos over to We Are Events, and there was no Dropbox link to send it to. I got a bunch of photos from Miami last night, from some of the venues that we work with, and plus some of the other ones downtown that were lit up very nicely. But I wasn't able to post those except for on my own social media sites. So how can I share those with you?
What I can do is I can share a Google Drive link with Jan, and then he can distribute that to everybody that is in your guys' mailing list for any photos that anybody has.
Thank you.
Right now,
Thank you.
Right now, if Tom Sorce just put something in the chat, and you guys should be looking at the chat. And just to remind you of one thing, before the end, before you leave, there are 3 little dots on the bottom of that chat window. If you click on that, it'll save the chat to your desktop. And I put a bunch of links in there of other things as well, and so people are talking with one another. It's kind of interesting of what's going on. And yes, we'll put the Dropbox link in for sure. So send the Google Drive link for pictures uploads, not working on the website. We got a message here as well. So Brad, so you might want something like that.
The website is not working?
I don't know. Sean, are you on? Are you live with us? Yeah, there he is.
It says upload your picture here, and the link takes you back to the top of the website.
Exactly.
To your point, it looks like there's supposed to be a Dropbox link, but it's not there.
If you're on the WeMakeEvents.org website, I didn't even know that it had an upload function. So our web guy might be actively building that, which is why it's broken. But yeah, I'll get you guys a Google Drive link to get them directly into the folders that we're using.
Great.
That's awesome.
Because
and that would be an improvement over last night because there was so much traffic on the WeMakeEvents.org website that the server crashed.
Yeah, it's funny. That's a good point, actually. So this whole thing has been very ground up and grassroots. Nobody's getting paid. We haven't spent a dime other than like people that have, that wanted to buy Gobos or whatever. That individual companies or people made investments. But we as an organization, we don't really exist on paper. And so our web hosting is being offered by Jonas Lowe, who's the director of communications for IATSE. He has some subscription that gets him free hosting. And he was the one that built the website, and it's been wonderful to have that. But we discovered the limitation of free last night. When we got over about 400 people in traffic, it was struggling a little bit. So it was kind of a humorous moment, in both really good that we had that much traction and also the unfortunate results of being free.
Very good. Tom, did you have anything you wanted to add? Tom Sorce, you wanted to add something?
As typically, I just want to make sure that everybody takes care of themselves, eats well, gets enough rest, exercises. This is a time for self-care, both mentally, emotionally, and physically, and I guess spiritually, if you're so inclined. So I encourage everybody to do so, because that'll help us get to the backside of this.
Yeah. I want to add something to that. Next week, John Brown from John Brown United is going to be on the panel with us. And I don't know if anybody knows him personally, but he's lost, I think, 200 to 300 pounds, and he's on this extreme health kick. And right now he wants to talk about that next week. And so we're putting together a little panel with him involved so he could talk about physical health and proper eating, nutrition, and of course how he's surviving with Brown United, which of course, they put up the big structures for so many different things. And right now they're hurting as well.
Yeah, so Jan, you should probably toss me on that panel. I'm pretty well versed in physiology, nutrition, sleep stuff, and supplements if you want some help with any of that.
Cool. I think that you're more than welcome to be part of it. As a matter of fact, you are part of it already, whether you realize it or not. You're an intricate part of this group because you're part of the mastermind. And so I appreciate everything that you do, and especially because didn't you just lose some weight and gain some muscle mass?
Yeah. So what's odd is that being a senior citizen myself, I'm supposed to be losing 3 to 7% muscle mass per decade, and that indeed was happening into my 50s. And when I started my 60s, I decided to reverse that about 18 months ago. Dropped 42 pounds. I've added 13 pounds of muscle. Changed my metabolism dramatically, and it's doable. You just have to take care of a few things. I'm now flat benching 270, which is the most I've ever flat benched in my life. So it's possible to do. It just takes a kind of a plan and a focused effort, but I can help anybody with that because I know how to do it now.
Yeah, it's really not a trick to lose weight. That's the interesting thing. It's not a trick. It just has to do with what you put down this gullet right here.
Well, yeah, it's about your anabolic catabolic balance, and so, but by adding muscle mass, you increase your metabolism, and it actually helps you. It's easier for you to maintain the weight that you dropped. I've dropped 5.5 inches off my waist, which is pretty amazing to me. I'm back to where I was when I was in my mid-20s.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful. Of course, I lost 60 pounds as well. But that was on my trip to Great Britain where I lost my wallet. But no,
thanks, Jen.
I did lose 60 pounds. And I have to tell you, last night, my vice or my hobby is playing tennis. And, I'm 69. I know, it's one of those things that I find it hard to, well, then I am 69. But the reality is I'm playing tennis with guys that are half my age. I was playing with guys in their 20s. And of course, I'm not good with math, but I know that's more than half. And I played less than I was the best I ever played. So it was like amazing. But you got to stay healthy to get past this, because it is going to get better. And there are some things coming up. We know that Abbott has the testing kits that are going to be released any minute now. There's going to be 30 million in September, 50 million from then on in. That's going to be happening. There's 4 companies right now that are in phase 3 trials of their vaccine. Abbott, Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca. Of course, by the way, just in truth in advertising, I did buy 100 shares of AstraZeneca when Michael Strickland said, "That's the bomb," so I hope that's not insider trading. If I hit him, I've just incriminated myself completely. I'll just have to erase the tape. That's all there is to it, Okay. Yes, go ahead. Ken Porter.
My question is kind of tying this whole thing together about health and taking care of yourself is, one of the problems I've complained about the health people talking about, oh, you wear a mask, but they have not talked about stopping smoking, vaping, have not talked about what vitamins, C or D or whatever, or minerals of magnesium or zinc. Because as soon as we come up with vaccines and they start putting that, vaccine basically hits the immune system to start making antibodies. How do we bolster the immune system? What should we be doing as far as what kind of food, what kind of supplements or whatever should we be doing to make sure we don't have a compromised immune system when we hit a vaccine?
So the 3 best things you can do for your immune system is the first best thing you can do is make sure that you're getting 1 hour to 1 hour and a half of REM sleep and 1 hour to 1 hour and a half of deep sleep per night. That's the strongest immune boosting thing you can do for yourself. And it doesn't cost you a dime other than you have to figure out a way to track it. You can track it on a watch, you can track it on an Oura Ring, but that is the simplest and most effective immune booster you can do. Once you step once you're getting an hour to 90 minutes of REM sleep and an hour to 90 minutes of deep sleep, the next best thing you can do is to add some aerobic exercise to your daily routine. And that can be just walking for an hour. Just get up and walk, because that will help boost your immune system naturally. And then if you're looking at supplements, what you want to do is you want to consider yourself as a unique human being. And what I highly recommend doing is there's a company called Viome.com, Viome.com. You can get a biological test that will tell you the exact structure of your microbiome, and then you can specifically target what you need for yourself. There are some broad generalities that we can talk about for immune boosting, but if you really want to save yourself a lot of time and effort and bullshit, get your microbiome checked, and then you will know exactly what you need to do. And it's they were running a $169 special, and it's an RNA DNA test of your intestinal tract. It's specific to you. It works like a charm. It's amazing.
I will say one thing: if you do nothing else other than this, will help you out so much. The first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is take 8 ounces of cool water. 8 ounces of cool water, and that'll start your metabolism running for the rest of the day. And you should be drinking at least 32 ounces of water during the day. So if you do nothing else and just drink water and flush your system, it'll keep you going, and it will help you lose weight as well and stay healthy.
So I'll piggyback on what Jan says. So I drink 8 ounces of cool water in the morning. I add 1 scoop of prebiotics, which is basically roughage, and 1 scoop of polyphenols. And not only does that get your body going, it lights up your entire digestive system to process things effectively going forward. So it's a great way to help your digestive system help build your immune boosting mitochondria, which support your entire system.
And if you don't want to feel any pain, just put some vodka in that water and you'll be fine.
There you go.
2 shots.
So guys, how many people do you see wearing masks in your areas? I mean, is it all over the place? Do you have the kind of discord that we're seeing in Germany right now with 20 to 30,000 people marching on Berlin last weekend, protesting the wearing of masks and other safeguards that have been put in place by the government? I mean,
widespread use in California. It's widespread. You can't go into most places without a mask in California.
Right. And here in Nevada, I will say that when it first started, I was very, very put back that I would walk into one of my favorite stores is Sprouts, and I felt very put back that people weren't wearing masks or they were wearing it underneath their nose. But now, everywhere you go, ever since Walmart said, hey, everybody's got to wear a mask, all of a sudden, everybody started wearing a mask here. And so you can't really go anywhere without people wearing masks. I went back to my gym, which is called Lifetime, not so much to go exercise, but they have 8 indoor tennis courts. And I noticed that everybody is wearing a mask, and they are cleaning like crazy. Everywhere you go, you see bottles of hand sanitizers. You see plexiglass put up. You see people wiping down things. So I think that there are certain societies right now that are very, very into understanding the science of it, and then there are those that don't. And we need to keep away from those. I'll give you one example. I was just reading that in Sturgis, they have now projected that there was something like 400 cases that they could definitely pinpoint going back to Sturgis. And that's just the beginning of it. 4 people at the Republican committee came down with COVID. So when you see people not wearing masks, the odds are that they are going to keep spreading this disease. So, but what do? Do you go over to somebody and say, hey, put on that goddamn mask, man? You can't.
Yeah, I had to do that today. I did that this morning to a group of bicyclists because when they all just gather around and there's no mask. South Florida's all over the place because it's so hot down here. People are in the water all the time. It's just, it's hard to police except in businesses. Everybody walks into a business with a mask on. Otherwise, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And I look at it and it's just setting us back. Our industry is being set back every time I see these folks just not paying attention.
And how about those mask wearers that don't put it over their nose?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I reported last week about the concerts that took place in Germany, and I am monitoring to see what the results of those are going to be. But I think that I think that right now things are going to start to change one way or another. They're either going to get super better or super worse, but we're coming down to the flu season right now. And I really believe that people now, because we're seeing all of this outbreak in the colleges and the public schools, so people are starting to really get wise to that the mask. I mean, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, their mask, if you read in the news that, that they've been recommended, and now they're telling their people to wear a mask. So basically, we are getting that word out there that masks are important, because the only way you catch this thing is through either breathing it in or getting it in your eyes. So if you're wearing a mask, the odds are you're not going to spread it, or you're not going to catch it.
So who is this new medical advisor that has been hired by the White House that's saying the opposite?
Well, he'll be gone soon. But one of the things that I will say, that if you guys want to talk politics, I could start another show. But this one, I want to keep out of the politics ring. It's one of those things. It's like politics now is like a Beatles song when the Beatles were really popular.
I agree. This shouldn't be politicized at all. I mean, it's just a health issue. It shouldn't be blue or red masks being worn. They should all be either white masks or black masks. Who cares, right?
I would think that, if and this is where I think that they missed the boat, is that they're saying freedom of speech. Well, basically, if you want to have freedom of speech, put whatever you want on that mask, and then let people know how you think. If you feel like, hey, I need to have more sex, then put it on your mask, and hopefully you'll get more sex. I think, well, that's a great idea. I never thought of that before. All right, I'm going to do that. Immediately, I'm going out and getting a mask like that. I'll be selling them. And I will be donating most of the profits to our cause. All right. The bulk of the profits, of course, will be going to Jan Landy Retirement Fund. Thank you. That's about it. So with that in mind, one of my really good friends, Henry Austin, he owns a company called PPA down in Orange County. And Tom Sorce, you might remember PPA, because when I met Tom, I was the performing arts director of the Los Angeles Street Scene Festival, and we had a stage. I was booking 13 stages, and Tom was one of the engineers on the rock and roll stage. And of course, he was flying in, and he had to land on the 10 freeway, I believe. Is that right? Was that the 10 freeway that you landed on? Yeah. Anyway, David was involved, David Dansky. Wow, we go back a long way. And so Henry wrote me a letter, and he said to me, well, I've known you now for over 40 years. And I said, wow, is that possible? Wait a second. Yeah, it is possible. I know some of you guys a long time. I mean, I've been in this business now, just doing Soundbroker for 23 years. I mean, that's longer than anything else I've ever done in my life. But anyway, the point that I'm making, does anybody know what the point I'm making? Really, seriously. I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. Henry. All right. And so anyway, so he came up with this idea that maybe we could all put together our swag, the laminates, T-shirts, hats, and start putting them together and start selling them on eBay as a way to raise money for the industry. And that's something, we all have laminates sitting around. We all have T-shirts we've never worn. We have pins, we have that kind of stuff. And he knows these people that are artists that have done a lot of record companies like Henry Diltz, Ernie, and those people. And he thinks that's a good idea. And everybody I've talked to, I said, that's a possibility if we could put together some sort of telethon for that to raise money for the industries. I'd like to throw that out to the group. What does anybody think about that? Raul, do you have your hands up, or you were just trying to cool your armpits? Anybody? All right, Raul, say something. Say something while you're here. You're a smart guy.
It's good to see you, Jan. Hey, anything that can help the cause, I'm sure that we can all get rid of 200, laminates at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
I always got the impression that selling laminates was kind of not cool because it's going to allow room for forgery and, stuff like illegal things that have happened.
Well,
choose a tour that is 20 years old.
Yeah, we're talking about antique, and so, I mean, in anything that you do, if you're the first person to get on the bandwagon with it, that usually gives you the leg up for everything else,
Sure.
So, anyway, let's talk about something else. Let's bring some people in. Mike, did you want to say something?
What I was going to say was I gave away all my local crew T-shirts to the neighborhood kids. So you see some 10-year-old kid riding down the street on his Stingray with a Steve Miller Band local crew T-shirt on. I go, yeah, okay.
Very, very nice.
So you guys have seen this app, right?
No, what is it? Navica?
Yeah.
No,
this is something that Michael Strickland sent last week, and it's all about this company Abbott that has developed these little things the size of a credit card that cost about $5, and you can test for malaria. They've tested for another type of fever. I don't know if it's dengue fever, but it all has to do. Now they're developing, and they hope to have these things on the market soon, where it costs like $5 for a card, and you can self-test by taking a swab, putting it on this card, and it'll send a message. It'll show up either negative or positive, like a pregnancy test. And this company will then send you a notice on here that will either be like a red or a blue notice whether you test positive or not. So now you've got something that takes about 5 minutes to do the test, and would be something valuable to have to show it when you're entering a venue or something that, yes, in fact, I'm clean. So
yeah, of course, the trick with that is with this particular virus anyway, you may be clean like at 10 o'clock today, and you may be not so clean at 2 o'clock this afternoon, right?
I'm sure, and I'm sure that there's some kind of time limit that this will be valid for when they get it fully developed. But Strickland sent this along, and I urge you guys to check it out.
Sounds worth checking out for sure.
Yeah, Navica, and it's Abbott Laboratories.
I heard of there's this ring. It's called the Aura ring, O-U-R-A, and it detects subtle changes in temperature. Yeah, he's got one. Thomas Sorce has got one, and it basically tells you if you're going to get COVID by subtle temperature changes, heartbeat changes, and all that. But Thomas's should be talking about it, not me. Go ahead, Thomas.
So the Aura Ring is a pretty interesting device, and it basically has an internal readers inside that it actually checks a lot of stuff. And if you have an iPhone, you can link it to your Apple Health app. So this is how I track my REM sleep and my deep sleep, and the amount, and my REM sleep cycles, because the fourth cycle is kind of the most important one. So I track my sleep, I track my heart rate, my resting heart rate, my average heart rate, and any temperature spikes throughout the day, it'll show up and it'll alert me on my health app on my phone. It also will do arterial fibrillation. I can hardly say the word, because that's another thing that the health app on Apple will do. And it tracks all of your exercise activity, walking, running, biking, physical fitness. So it's a pretty amazing little piece of technology. I've only been using it for about a month now, but it's shifted the way that I sleep dramatically, and in a very helpful manner. And that, of course, is a foundation of health. So I'm a big fan of it so far.
Tom, can you send us a link for that, please?
Yeah.
Now,
you.
Tom, does the Oura
Auraring.com. O-U-R-A ring.com.
tell your body temperature as well?
Yes.
Because I have the Motive Ring and it doesn't tell your body temperature, so that might be something I might want to swing away from.
Yeah, I wish I could show you kind of the tracking. It does some pretty incredible data dumping onto your phone, heart rate, resting heart rate, all sleep contributors, efficiency, restfulness, all kinds of information that is pretty valuable. And I have found it to be the most useful data tool that I've ever owned for myself personally.
And it give you like a preparedness score every morning, tells you how well
time,
prepared you are
latency,
for the day.
Totally. So yes, it does. And it also gives me my daily caloric burn with 3,264 calories yesterday, my walking miles, my steps, my progression, training frequency, training volume, whether I've met my daily goals. It gives you all your sleep stages in REM, deep sleep, light sleep, when you're awake during the night, your resting heart rate. I average about 51 beats per minute at night. Bunch of really fun, interesting stuff. And, most of us audio guys are kind of gadget freaks to begin with. So this is the best personal gadget device I've ever owned, hands down.
Tom, you want to put your affiliate link down on the bottom there?
So Kenny said it. It's I'll put it down. I think it's www.oura.com.
Yeah, very
well. Auraring.com is what I put.
Oura Ring.
Also,
and by the way, the ring is about $300. Does that sound right, Tom?
Yeah. So, I have a lovely yogini for a wife, and she was so impressed with what I've been able to do with this that she ordered one 2 days ago for herself.
You can get the more expensive model for $400 too. But
well, they also have one where you can get a diamond in it, but I don't need that.
I take it that what they do is they send you mock rings first, for sizing.
They send you a box of mock rings, and you can put it on any one of 3 or 4 fingers.
Right. And going along with apps, and we're talking about apps, Apple has offered the same technology that they use for Find My iPhone and Find My this and Find My that. A lot of the trackers are doing that, like for your key trackers, they're doing that. And Apple has introduced and has allowed the states to have what they call a COVID trace. And so here in Nevada, they've let you know that, and then you could see in the last hour, there has been no exposure since 10 p.m., which is kind of an interesting thing. So it basically, without giving away any of your data, it just kind of has a ring of influence around where you are and where other people are. So if you pass somebody who's got it, COVID, then it will alert you that you've gotten exposed somehow. It doesn't mean you've been exposed. It just means that you've been in an area where there was some COVID, so that if you want to get tested, you can. Also, one other thing about Nevada, now Mike Brown usually talks about, where's Mike? Mike, I think he left us.
He had to go.
But usually, basically, Mike Brown would give us a little update on what's going on in Las Vegas. And from what I understand right now, that 12 of the casinos are not going to be opening for a while. And some of the others are starting to open. But the reality is that we're also doing a lot more testing here. And so that's good. Sean, what's going on in LA?
Well, we're wearing our masks. I live in Silver Lake, so we're pretty much 100% mask wearers. We're hippies here. I took a trip to Orange County last weekend, and nobody was wearing their mask.
Wow.
I think it's important to point out that we're 95% blue, and Orange County is about 95% red. I also spent some time this weekend with some super Trump supporting Orange County friends who don't believe this is real and it's a made up economic crisis so the Democrats can win the election. And masks take away their freedom, and why do we work so hard as Americans to just be told what to do? And it's kind of getting down to unfriend on Facebook. The world's becoming, obviously quite divisive. We had some Black Lives Matters riots. We've taken a couple bricks through our windows. Our venue, City Market Social House, we boarded up on March 1st, but a brick managed to get through a high window a couple months ago. And it's fun. I don't know. What do you want me to say? It's a shitty world right now.
Tell us about that airplane ride. Were you learning how to fly a plane?
I don't have a pilot's license, but I can fly a plane just fine. I've probably flown 50 hours. So yeah, I took my kids up on a flight. And I was in the left seat flying, and my buddy was in the right seat, and he happens to be a 20-year United pilot. So that was handy to make sure we landed okay, if you know what I mean.
It was nice. It was nice footage. It was nice footage, in case you haven't seen it. I don't know if we're all following each other, but if you follow me, you could follow him. And if anybody's following me, they're following him. Anyway, basically, it's there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. A lot of, I'm really curious to know what's going on in Congress right now. I know they're very close to putting something together, and I'm sure that it is coming extremely close together. One of the things that did happen here in Nevada, and I know it happened in California, where they put a moratorium on any evictions. That's going to be good, and I believe that's going on a national basis. So things are they won't be as bad as they could be, and I really think that as we start to progress and we start to see more and more people wearing masks, I believe that we're going to all come back to business right now. Now, does anybody in the room have any ideas of what they're doing right now to earn some money? Because that's what the whole thing is how do we survive these tough times? Does anybody have any new ideas that they want to share with the group? Okay, that's good.
I got some ideas, Jan. So we have a venue that holds 1,000 people. All the doors roll up. So the County of Los Angeles unofficially said, this is really an outdoor venue, which was handy. And then they said, as long as the event is essential, you don't need to worry about the 10-person limit. So we can socially distance 200 people in chairs. Now, I'm not suggesting we run out and throw a bunch of events tomorrow, but car sales companies, medical device companies, people disseminating political information, election events, union events, education events, all of those are fine. So we have begun the dialogue with people saying, look, if we all wear a mask and we stay 6 feet apart and we respect each other's space, it is okay to come in here and watch a presentation, watch a movie screening, perhaps even watch some music, as long as it's under this guise of essential event. So we have a seat on the county board that oversees the whole pandemic. And, to be honest, they said it's the parties in the Hollywood Hills and people raging and college kids in dormitories drinking. Corporate business people participating in a fun, well-behaved event isn't what anyone's really worried about. I'm not sure I'm going to put my neck out on the line, but we are starting to get inquiries from people asking about the gray of this whole thing and when should we participate in gray. So I'll throw the question out to the group as how many people are starting to ask for. I know a lot of you are in rock and roll and big events. My wheelhouse is 500 to 1,000 person events, but we are starting to see a lot of interest to be safe, behave responsibly, but get the hell out of the house.
The Ryman Auditorium is going back to concerts starting this weekend, but they're only limited to 150 people in the venue.
And are there any rules about how close together the musicians can be on stage?
Not as musicians. If you are in the same family, or you came together or whatever. If you're distant, you can sit next to each other, but other than that, you have to be distanced.
I mean, on stage though, what about the performers?
Didn't say anything of that on the news.
Brian, did you want to say something? No? Okay. Hey, Paul, thanks for coming in from Canada. We really appreciate that. You know, what's going on in your world? Got to unmute yourself. I'll unmute you for you. You're unmuted. Go ahead. Talk away.
Okay, I was just about to leave and you caught me. So good.
Is that a bird?
Yeah, we're lining up our red alert September 22nd up here. So we're a little bit behind you guys, but it's good to see what you're doing. We have already reached out to a lot of our members of parliament to let them know that it's happening. Before that, I just wondered if you guys did the same. Did you reach a lot of your Congress people before you did the event, or did you let the event speak out, and then it sounds like you're going after Congress now?
I can answer that. No, we've been lobbying Congress ever since day one. We have the group called NAMM is really spearheading that, and we have a guy by the name of Michael Strickland who's come into the room a few times as well. He's CEO, chairman of Bandit Lites, and he is friends with two of his Senate buddies in the state, Marsha Blackburn, and what's the other one, Ken? What's the other senator? Tim Porter, do you know? Some other senator. What's the difference? You know, the senator's not in the room anyway, so we could talk about him. All right. Say that again.
No, good. I appreciate that. I met a group of 8 people up in Ottawa, Canada, and we're steering it up in our city. And we're just right now getting into Parliament. So it's nice to see that you made some headway first in that direction.
Well, what I'll do, Paul, is I will get you Brad Nelms' email,
Yeah.
And so you might as well pick his brain because you know he is if last time I looked, Canada was in North America. And seeing he's the director of North America of We Make Events, I'm sure he would be more than happy to get involved with you and assist you in any way he can.
That'd be awesome. Great, appreciate that.
I will, if I have it handy, I will. If I have Brad's email address handy, if I do, I will throw it right into the chat window. I will get it to you. I promise. I will get it to you.
That's fine. Thanks, Jan.
I think it's Brad Nelms at Gmail is what it is, if I remember correctly.
I've got a parrot here that's really hungry, so I have to leave the chat, but nice talking with you.
Yeah, it's
Hey, take off, eh?
Backwards. There it is. It's in the chat.
Okay.
Chat window for you. So anyway, I'm looking at my notes to see if there's anything else to discuss right now. I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover, so I'll open it up to the group. Is there anybody here that would like to say anything or start anything else that they have to say, want to add to the conversation?
I'd just like to add something. We have opened up the stadium here for football, and we're going to have audiences for the University of Miami football games. They are, the students will not be allowed to be in the stands for the first 2 weeks, but any alumni or adults can be there. There won't be any alcohol served, but I think that it's, of course, there's a lot of money involved with college football. They were able to push this through. And I think that it's going to, it also allowed them or made them look at opening up the restaurants here. So now we have indoor seating in our restaurants as well. We'll see how it goes.
And tell everybody where you are.
Miami, Florida.
Miami, yeah. I have some friends living in Miami, and they are seem to be really hindered by what's going on, and of course the cases of COVID are pretty great.
Jan.
You want to say something?
Yeah, don't come visit.
Our Texas Longhorns are going full speed.
All right, the Texas Longhorns are back.
They've got the lights on full blast at night in the stadium. They're practicing around the clock, and and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And Steve Sluter, what about you? What about your team?
Yeah.
What team are you rooting for?
So the Saints, we were just told, second game of the season, they're going to have people in the Superdome.
Very nice.
How many people? Like a minimal number, or
I don't know. The state approved it, but we don't know what the city of New Orleans is going to do yet. They may shut it down.
Now, don't you have season tickets?
I do.
Yes. So have you been notified?
No, I haven't. Well, my son gets the tickets, but.
And Brian, don't you have some tickets somewhere for some team? What team do you have for?
I have the Panthers, so we don't want to talk about those Saints down there. But the governor banned attendance at the home opener. So he said it's an outdoor venue. You can only have 50 people in there. And they said, well, you can't field both teams with just 50 people. So he's had to make an exception for the players on the field. So, and all the statisticians and everything. But we had an opportunity to return our tickets for full refund for this season. And I just didn't feel it was going to happen the way politics was happening around here. So I took the refund back. So I'll go next year. But
Tina just made a comment in the chat, and she says, I heard the NFL approve certain venues, with Miami being the first to allow up to 20,000 fans to attend. Has anybody heard anything like that?
Yeah, it's all about the open stadium, and they're following on the path of, it's the same stadium that the University of Miami plays football in. So it's like an 80,000 seater. You've seen it with the Superdome last year.
But isn't that contrary to what all the medical people are saying, that we shouldn't gather and all that?
Of course, and that's why they can't figure out whether they should wear masks or not down here. It's it's all over the place. Yeah.
Sounds like it's just going to slow us down.
When you're on the tour bus, just skip over Florida. You'll be okay.
so I know that when they were talking about seating for the Panthers, which is, again, an outdoor stadium, they said that the max that they would do would be 30% this year. And even we use PSLs here. So even though I have my assigned 6 seats, I was not guaranteed to set in my, I wasn't going to get my 6 seats because the NFL has banned any fans in the first 8 rows of the lowest 8 rows of the stadium. So you have to set a minimum of the 8th row, and I'm in rows 6 and 7. So it just, the NFL's got their rules, and you got the state rules, and you got everything else. But the Panther organization said that they would only allow a third of the season ticket holders to use their tickets this year at any given game. So
at least you're not a Penn State ticket holder. Did you see where they determined that all their season ticket money was donation to the university and they wouldn't get anything back?
Wow.
I know that UNC Charlotte gave you the option of getting a refund, or you could make it as a donation, but they didn't mandate that they were keeping it.
Now, the Indianapolis 500 race took place, about 10 days ago or something. Anybody hear anything about how that went? Because I heard they had, 50% capacity or something.
They were going to do it, and then the state changed their mind and axed it and did no people. They did the same thing that's going to happen this weekend with the Kentucky Derby is going to happen Saturday, and it was supposed to have 70,000 people available in the area there, and they said no.
So you mean to tell me the Indy 500 happened, but there was no people in the stands?
Correct.
Well, Talladega,
wow. I saw no news reports about that at all. I just was wondering why it was under the radar.
Why was it under the radar? Well, I guess there's only room for 4 stories a night on the news, and that's about it, So if it's not one of those 4 top stories that are going to get you to shit in your drawers, it doesn't pay to watch it. What can I say?
Well, I think the 2 weekends ago, Talladega and NASCAR ran, but they only allowed like 3,000 or 4,000 fans in there. Just a small, very light crew.
And how did that go? Did they wear masks and did they stay separate and so forth?
Well, most of the time in NASCAR, you wear a mask regardless because it's so much dirt and debris flying up there. But I think they kept them separate in zones. So they spread them out over all the seating areas. They weren't in one just section.
Bristol last month they took every other row out of the stands, and they had 22,000 in that race. And then I think Charlotte coming up is going to have like 30,000 at that.
Well, the governor hasn't approved it yet in Charlotte.
Well, but that's the question there. But Kentucky, we had some people there. They only had about 5,000 Kentucky. Down in Talladega, they made it to where they had like 5,000 or 6,000 plus several in there, but you had to live in the state of Alabama. You couldn't come from out of state to the race.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, Texas has 100,000 seating capacity in their stadium, and the governor says you can only have 50% of that, but Texas is saying we're only going to do 25% of that, so that's 25,000 people there. And their arch rival LSU dropped out. I think the SEC kind of shut down or something, so I guess Texas is ranked 15th in the nation. We'll see where it goes. It seems like an opportunity to win a national championship, but at what cost?
Hey, Paul, one thing I want to ask you, you're in Austin. What's the scene like in Austin right now? I mean, Austin is like almost an outdoor town with lots of bars. What's going on in Austin?
Well, bars are pretty much shut down, and as you know, Austin is the blueberry in the strawberry patch. It's the liberal clay of Texas, and it's surrounded by an ocean of red. And we have a very strict, tight mayor who wants to shut down as much as possible, and we have a governor who wants to open up as much as possible. So the governor sometimes trumps the mayor and gets his way, and sometimes the mayor gets his way. So there's this give and take between the state and the city. So so far, it's pretty much under control. We'll see where it goes.
But as far as the entertainment value of the city, it's basically there's no performances going on. What about church services?
They're going on. There's church services going on, and churches around here, so they're evangelical churches, and they're going on. There's no shutdown there as much as the bars. The bars are shut down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did your mayor pull the liquor license of the bars so they wouldn't open?
What happened? Yeah, he based it on the liquor licenses, but then a lot of the bars turned to food, and they cut and raised the food ratio, so then they qualified as restaurants. A lot of them have gone that route.
Right. What's going on in Nashville in that way, Kenny?
The mayor's out for a power grab. You know, he's raised the property tax 34% because sales tax is down. He's now come up with somebody, if they didn't like what they're doing, they pulled their liquor license. He fired the police chief because he wasn't writing enough $75 tickets for people not wearing masks. And then he came up with a proposal for a $1.5 billion new bus system that he wants done by the end of the year.
Oh, very good. And is he putting entertainment in the bus system? Did you get an install contract?
No.
Oh, no. And screw that guy. All right, what's going on? Raul, what's happening in Florida from your end? Now you're in Miami, right? And Chris, you're also in. Do you two guys know each other, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
How you doing, Raul?
We're doing good. Good to see you the other day at the sailing club. It's the only place we can actually get away from people. Get in your sailboat and go park in the middle of the bay.
Let's race this weekend. I think there's going to be good wind.
Yeah, but what Chris said is exactly in the money. We have a collection of stupid assholes down here, that just keep running around, just no mask, like nothing is happening. A lot of younger people. My building where I live, my condo building, we fine you $100 if you don't wear a mask. You go into the lobby, you go into the hallway to take away the trash, you have to wear a mask. And if you don't, you get fined $100. It shows up on your monthly bill. People immediately put on their mask.
That would do it. That would do it for me if I had to do it. But I don't leave the
But
house.
I think it goes to what you were saying, Chris. When we have such mixed messages from government and medical organizations, people just kind of go, whatever.
Everybody's taking it into their own hands, basically.
Yeah, so it's pretty well documented that our governor has particular style, and so somewhat not in alignment with science. So or math.
Just one thing in regards to government, Gil Garcetti, I believe that's his name. Is it Gil Garcetti, Kenny? And David, because you guys live in Hollywood, he just signed off onto the We Make events as well, and so basically he is supporting it. He put a letter out that he supports the entertainment industry as well.
Eric Garcetti, Gil,
Eric,
dad, the district attorney for Los Angeles.
That's right. When I was there,
no privilege or came from any connections whatsoever.
Yeah. Yep. So he supported it.
But he does those daily briefings, right? Where he's quite good at that, right?
He's good. Every at 5 o'clock, 5:15 every day, he tells you what's going on.
Yeah. Well, that's very good. Really
He's a good leader, I think.
Let's just talk. I just want to talk about two things. Next week, John Brown from Brown United is going to hear, and we already spoke about that. And the week after that, on the 16th, I am working on putting together a panel of manufacturers so that they could assist us in what they're doing to assist us to survive these tough times. And I've asked Raul to assist me in putting it together, as well as David Schierman and anyone else who can lend a hand on this. So for the 16th, I want to have a panel of manufacturers so that we could ask them questions of what's going on in their world as well. So unless there's anything else that anybody wants to say, I'll go around the room one more time. If there's anybody has anything that they want to share, say, anything like that, please just raise your hand or just start yapping.
I got good news. I cracked the 100 mark on my temperature sensors.
Oh, that's very good. So talk about that a little bit.
So I got a few dollars coming in.
Talk about that, because I've noticed now wherever I go now into a closed quarters, I have to look into a machine, and but these machines aren't that accurate. A lot of times I'll be looking at the machine, and then they'll have to do a scan by hand.
No, these seem to work pretty well.
Very good.
You can be within a meter of it, and it'll pick you up. So.
Well, if you have a link you want to throw into the chat, before we say goodbye, that would be great. And we all look at those, the temperature meters. Would love to have one of those as well. And then maybe it's something that everybody in their marketplace could get involved in and offer it to their clients as well. Because if you passed 100 of them, what do you sell them for?
Right around $2,000.
$2,000. So 100, $2,000. I'm not good with math, but that's more than $1. So that's.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too bad. It's about 25-30% mark.
All of you done the math?
No. Oh no. I just want to say this is small potatoes to you guys because you're in the big leagues and I'm in the minor leagues with audio. But Colin, Colin and I have developed a product for the ATEM Mini, which is a heat sink and a dual fan thing. You stick it under the ATEM Mini, and it, instead of being able to fry an egg on the ATEM Mini, which you can normally do, it cools it way down. So I've registered a domain called atemcooler.com, atemcooler.com. We're going to sell these things.
Actually, I use that to cook my bacon in the morning.
Yeah, right. You could. Those little suckers are hot.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else have anything you want to share? If not, we're going to say this roundtable meeting is adjourned, and we will all meet again here next week at 3 o'clock. And I want to thank you all for supporting what we're doing. Go out and spread the word. The more people that know about it, you have that link of the pre-registered link you could send to anybody, and they could register as well, because the more minds we have together, the greater we are. period. End of story. And I'm doing everything I can to make this the best possible place to share ideas so that we can survive these tough times. And with that, I want to thank you all. Just remember, you make it happen. Thanks for coming, and I will see you all again next week, if not sooner.
Thanks, Jan. Thanks, everybody.
Great meeting.
Bye, Jan. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.